Ladies and gentlemen, imagine waking up every day with a deep sense of peace, clarity, and direction, knowing that no matter what challenges come your way, you are guided, supported, and aligned with something greater than yourself. When you put God first, everything changes. Your mind shifts from fear to faith, from doubt to certainty. You begin to see that life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. The chaos, the setbacks, the struggles, they all start to make sense because you are no longer trying to control everything. Instead, you surrender to divine order, and in that surrender, your life begins to fall into place. Today, I want to take you on a journey of transformation, where the moment you prioritize God, the universe responds in ways you never imagined. Let's step into this truth together. When you put God first, everything in your life begins to align in ways that seem almost effortless. There is a natural order to the universe, and when you connect with the divine, you tap into that order. Life no longer feels like a constant struggle of pushing, pulling, and forcing things to happen. Instead, events, opportunities, and relationships begin to flow in a way that feels guided. You start noticing synchronicities, those seemingly random moments that confirm you are on the right path. Things you once chased now come to you, and the stress of trying to control every outcome slowly fades away. Many people live in a state of resistance, constantly battling circumstances, fighting against time, and struggling to make things work. They try to rely solely on their own strength, their own plans, and their own understanding, only to find themselves exhausted, frustrated, and stuck. But when you make the conscious decision to put God first, something shifts inside of you. You begin to trust that there is a higher intelligence at work, orchestrating every detail of your existence. You no longer feel the need to force situations because you recognize that what is meant for you will come in due time. This does not mean life will be free from challenges, but it does mean that challenges no longer shake you the way they used to. When God is at the center, obstacles become stepping stones rather than roadblocks. You start seeing difficulties as lessons rather than punishments. The pressure to always have everything figured out dissolves because you realize you are not navigating life alone. There is a greater force leading the way, and your role is to stay in alignment with that force. Alignment with divine order brings clarity. So many people wander through life feeling lost, unsure of their purpose, and confused about which direction to take. They make decisions based on fear, pressure, or societal expectations rather than a deep inner knowing. But when you put God first, your decisions start to come from a place of wisdom rather than impulse. You no longer rush into things just to feel a sense of control. Instead, you wait for divine guidance, and when the right moment arrives, you move with confidence, knowing that you are walking in alignment with a higher plan. People often spend years chasing success, wealth, and recognition, believing that these external achievements will bring them fulfillment. But without a spiritual foundation, even the greatest successes can feel empty. You may reach your goals, but if your soul is disconnected, the happiness is temporary. Putting God first changes your perception of success. You begin to see that true abundance is not just material wealth, but peace of mind, strong relationships, and a life filled with purpose. The things that once seemed urgent and necessary lose their grip on you, and you focus on what truly matters. This alignment also affects your relationships. When God is at the center of your life, you attract people who are meant to be part of your journey. You no longer cling to toxic connections out of fear or loneliness. You understand that the right people will enter your life at the right time, and the wrong ones will naturally fade away. You stop chasing validation from others because your sense of worth comes from a higher place. This changes how you interact with the world. You become more patient, more understanding, and more at peace with the people around you. When you put God first, even your daily routines take on a different energy. The way you start your morning, the way you handle challenges, the way you end your day, all of it shifts. Your thoughts are no longer dominated by stress, worry, or frustration. Instead, you begin to see life through a lens of trust and gratitude. You wake up with a sense of purpose, knowing that each day is a gift. Even the small moments, like a quiet morning, a kind word from a stranger, or a moment of stillness, become signs of divine presence. You also begin to let go of comparison. In a world where everyone is constantly measuring their lives against others, putting God first helps you stay focused on your own journey. You stop worrying about how fast someone else is moving, how much they have achieved, or how their life appears on the surface. You recognize that your path is unique and that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. This allows you to move forward with a sense of peace rather than anxiety. When God is the foundation, your decisions become more intentional. Instead of being driven by fleeting emotions or external pressures, you operate from a place of deep inner knowing. You no longer feel rushed to make things happen because you understand that divine timing is always at work. This allows you to be present in the moment rather than constantly worrying about the future. You trust that what is meant for you will never pass you by, and that certainty gives you an unshakable sense of confidence. Putting God first also brings resilience. Life will always have ups and downs, but when your faith is strong, you don't break under pressure. You understand that every setback carries a lesson and every delay has a purpose. Instead of reacting with frustration, you respond with patience and trust. This shift in perspective not only reduces stress, but also allows you to navigate life's challenges with grace. There is a sense of ease that comes with spiritual alignment. You no longer feel like you have to strive endlessly to prove your worth, to gain approval, or to force things into place. You begin to understand that everything is already being taken care of, that your only job is to stay aligned with divine order, to listen and to follow the path that is being laid out before you. The more you trust in this process, the more you realize that life isn't meant to be a struggle. It's meant to be a journey of faith, growth, and fulfillment. Fear is one of the greatest barriers to living a fulfilled life. It keeps people stuck, afraid to take risks, afraid to move forward, and afraid to trust in the unknown. Fear creates limitations in the mind, convincing you that you are not capable, that you are not ready, or that you are not worthy of what you desire. It feeds doubt, causing you to question yourself and second-guess every decision. But when you put God first, fear begins to lose its grip. You start operating from a place of faith rather than fear. You begin to trust that there's a plan unfolding for you, even if you cannot see it in the moment. Faith is the ability to believe in something greater than what your physical eyes can see. It is the deep knowing that you are being guided, that every challenge has a purpose, and that you are never alone. When you choose faith over fear, you shift your perspective. Instead of seeing obstacles as threats, you see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of viewing uncertainty as something to be feared, you see it as a space where possibilities exist. Faith does not mean that challenges disappear, but it does mean that challenges no longer control your mind and emotions. Many people live in fear because they try to control everything. They want certainty, they want guarantees, and they want to know exactly how things will unfold before they take action. But faith does not work that way. Faith requires trust. It requires surrendering the need to know every detail and instead believing that everything is working in divine order. When you put God first, you start to understand that control is an illusion. You realize that your role is not to manipulate every situation, but to trust that the right doors will open when the time is right. Fear creates hesitation. It keeps people in toxic situations, unfulfilling jobs, and stagnant relationships because they are afraid of what might happen if they step into the unknown. They stay in their comfort zones, even when they know they are meant for more. But faith gives you the courage to move forward, even when you cannot see the full path ahead. It allows you to take steps in the direction of your purpose, knowing that each step will reveal the next. It frees you from the need for certainty because you understand that God's plan is always greater than your own. The mind is powerful, and whatever you focus on expands. When you focus on fear, you attract more reasons to be afraid. You start noticing everything that could go wrong, and your thoughts create a reality filled with doubt and hesitation. But when you focus on faith, everything shifts. You start seeing possibilities where you once saw obstacles. You become open to opportunities that fear would have blinded you from recognizing. You start feeling a deep sense of peace, even in situations that once caused you anxiety. Fear often disguises itself as logic. It convinces you that waiting until you feel completely ready is the smart thing to do. It tells you that avoiding risk is the responsible choice. But deep down, you know the difference between fear and wisdom. Wisdom guides you to make choices that align with your highest self, while fear keeps you trapped in the same patterns. Faith allows you to discern the difference. It gives you the strength to move forward despite the uncertainty because you know that God is guiding your steps. When you put God first, fear no longer dictates your actions. You stop making decisions based on what could go wrong and instead focus on what could go right. You shift from a mindset of lack to a mindset of abundance. You begin to see setbacks as setups for something greater. You start understanding that failure is not the end, it is simply a redirection towards something better. Faith allows you to release the pressure of needing everything to be perfect and instead embrace the process of growth. The greatest breakthroughs often come after moments of fear. Right before a major transformation, fear will try to convince you to turn back. It will make you question whether you are making the right choice. It will try to shake your confidence and make you doubt your path. But if you push through, if you choose faith instead of fear, you will see that everything was working in your favor. The moment you stop letting fear control you, you step into a level of freedom that few people ever experience. Faith gives you resilience. It strengthens you in moments of uncertainty. It reminds you that even when things do not go according to your plan, they are still going according to God's plan. It allows you to release the burden of trying to figure everything out on your own. It brings a sense of peace that cannot be explained, a knowing that no matter what happens, you are exactly where you are meant to be. The more you choose faith over fear, the stronger your trust becomes. You start seeing proof that when you let go and trust God, things work out in ways you never expected. You begin to develop a deep inner confidence, knowing that you are being supported at all times. You no longer allow fear to dictate your choices, and instead you move forward with certainty, even in the face of the unknown. When you put God first, your purpose becomes clearer and you no longer wander through life feeling lost or uncertain. Many people spend years searching for meaning, trying to figure out what they are supposed to do and chasing after things that never truly satisfy them. They look for purpose in achievements, material success, or the approval of others, only to realize that these things do not bring lasting fulfillment. True purpose is not found in external accomplishments. It is discovered in alignment with God. When you surrender your plans and seek His guidance, you begin to understand why you are here, what you are meant to do, and how your gifts are meant to serve the world. Purpose is not something you have to force or create on your own. It is already within you, waiting to be uncovered. But in order to recognize it, you must be willing to let go of distractions and tune into the deeper calling on your life. When you prioritize your connection with God, you begin to see that every experience, every challenge, and every moment of your life has been shaping you for something greater. Even the setbacks and disappointments have a purpose. Even the seasons of waiting are preparing you for what is ahead. Nothing is wasted when you walk in alignment with God. Many people struggle to find their purpose because they are looking in the wrong places. They chase after careers, relationships, and achievements, hoping that these things will bring them a sense of fulfillment. But purpose is not about what you do, it is about who you are becoming. It is about stepping into the version of yourself that God created you to be. When you seek Him first, He reveals your path in ways you could never imagine. He places the right opportunities before you, connects you with the right people, and opens doors that no human effort could have opened. One of the biggest obstacles to discovering purpose is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, and fear of the unknown. Keep people stuck in places they were never meant to stay. But when you trust God, you stop letting fear dictate your choices. You start to move forward with confidence, knowing that your purpose is greater than your doubts. You stop hesitating and start taking action even when the path is not fully clear. Faith does not require knowing every step in advance. It requires trusting that each step will be revealed as you move forward. Walking in purpose also requires letting go of comparison. It is easy to look at others and feel like you are falling behind or not doing enough. But purpose is not a race. It is not about keeping up with others or meeting the world's expectations. It is about fulfilling the assignment that was specifically designed for you. When you put God first, you stop trying to fit into a mold that was never meant for you. You stop chasing after what others have and instead focus on what is uniquely yours. You understand that your journey is unfolding in divine timing and that everything meant for you will come at the right moment. Clarity comes when you stop seeking external validation and start seeking divine guidance. The world will always have opinions about what you should do, how you should live, and what success looks like. But true fulfillment does not come from pleasing the world. It comes from living in alignment with God's plan. When you listen to His voice above all others, you begin to move differently. You stop making decisions based on pressure or expectations, and instead you follow the path that feels right in your spirit. You stop striving for success as the world defines it, and instead pursue impact, meaning, and growth. Every person has a unique calling. No two journeys are the same. But the common thread among those who walk in purpose is that they have chosen to surrender, they have let go of control, released the need to have all the answers, and embraced the process of being led. They understand that purpose is not about a destination. It is about becoming the person they were always meant to be. It is about learning, growing, and evolving in ways that align with their highest calling. When you put God first, you no longer live with confusion or uncertainty about your direction. You may not always see the full picture, but you trust that you are exactly where you need to be. You begin to recognize the signs, the opportunities, and the moments that confirm you are on the right path. You start seeing how your gifts and talents are not just for you, but for others. Your purpose becomes clearer, not because you forced it, but because you allowed it to be revealed. When you put God first, you align yourself with divine wisdom rather than relying solely on human logic. The human mind is limited in its ability to see the full picture. It makes decisions based on past experiences, personal biases, and external influences. But divine wisdom operates beyond human understanding. It sees the past, present, and future all at once. It knows the intricate details of how one event connects to another, how one door closing leads to another opening, and how challenges are often disguised as blessings. When you rely on your own understanding, you can only make choices based on what you know in the moment. But when you trust in God's wisdom, you allow yourself to be guided by something much greater than your own perception. The world teaches people to seek knowledge, to analyze data, to evaluate pros and cons before making a decision. And while wisdom does include discernment, it also requires trust. There are moments in life when logic will tell you one thing, but God's wisdom will guide you in a completely different direction. Logic may tell you to play it safe, to avoid risks, to stick to what is familiar. But divine wisdom knows when it is time to step out in faith. It knows when something that looks good on the surface is actually a distraction from something greater. It knows when to tell you to wait and when to tell you to move. Human wisdom is often reactive. It is based on analyzing what has already happened and making decisions based on patterns and expectations. But divine wisdom is proactive. It prepares you for things you do not even know are coming. It positions you for opportunities that have not yet been revealed. It directs your steps in ways that may not make sense in the moment, but will become clear later. When you put God first, you open yourself up to receiving guidance that surpasses human reasoning. You learn to trust that even when things do not unfold the way you expected, they are unfolding exactly the way they need to. Many people struggle with making decisions because they rely solely on their own understanding. They analyze, overthink, and stress about making the right choice. But when you put God first, decision-making becomes simpler. You no longer have to carry the weight of figuring everything out on your own. You simply align yourself with divine wisdom and trust that the right choice will be made clear. This does not mean you do not use your mind or your ability to think critically. It means you do not allow fear, doubt, or overanalysis to block the voice of wisdom that is always guiding you. There will be moments when divine wisdom tells you to walk away from something that seems perfect. There will be times when it tells you to pursue something that does not make sense to others. The path of wisdom is not always logical in the eyes of the world, but it is always right. It leads you to places you never imagined, opens doors you never saw coming, and protects you from things you never even realized were a threat. It removes unnecessary struggles, aligns you with the right people, and orchestrates events in ways that no human mind could have planned. Trusting in divine wisdom requires patience. It means being willing to move when the time is right, rather than forcing things to happen on your own timeline. It means letting go of the need for instant answers and instead embracing the process of unfolding. Sometimes wisdom will tell you to wait even when you feel ready. Other times it will push you to act even when you feel uncertain. It will always guide you in the right direction, but you must be willing to listen. One of the biggest obstacles to receiving divine wisdom is the noise of the world. There are constant distractions, opinions, and influences that pull people in different directions. Society rewards busyness, constant action, and immediate results. But wisdom often comes in stillness. It comes in moments of quiet reflection, in prayer, in surrender. It is in these moments that clarity emerges, that answers become clear, and that direction is revealed. When you put God first, you develop an inner knowing that transcends logic. You stop relying on external validation and instead move forward with confidence, knowing that you are being led by something greater. You stop feeling the need to explain your decisions to others because you understand that divine wisdom does not always make sense to those who do not hear it. You stop fearing the unknown because you know that you are guided by a force that sees beyond what you can see. Life becomes more fluid when you trust in divine wisdom. You stop trying to force things to happen and instead allow them to unfold. You stop stressing about making the perfect decision and instead trust that you are being guided to exactly where you need to be. You stop holding on to things that are not meant for you because you trust that something better is ahead. When you put God first, peace becomes your foundation and external circumstances no longer have the power to control your emotions. Many people go through life feeling anxious, stressed, and overwhelmed because they are trying to manage everything on their own. They believe that peace will come when everything in their lives is perfect, when they have enough money, when their relationships are stable, when their future is certain. But true peace is not found in external conditions. It is found in surrendering to God and trusting that He is in control. It is knowing that no matter what happens, you are being guided, protected, and provided for. The world teaches people to seek peace through external achievements. It tells them that if they can just fix their problems, they will finally feel at ease. But the problem with this approach is that life is always changing. Challenges will always arise, unexpected situations will always come, and things will not always go according to plan. If your peace is dependent on everything being perfect, you will always be chasing something that cannot be sustained. But when you put God first, your peace is unshakable. It is not based on what is happening around you. It is based on your trust in a higher power that sees the bigger picture. Many people live in a constant state of worry because they believe they have to figure everything out on their own. They analyze every detail, try to predict every outcome, and stress over things they cannot control. But when you trust in God, you release that burden. You stop carrying the weight of trying to make everything happen in your own strength. You recognize that some things are beyond your control and that stressing over them does not change anything. Instead of worrying about the future, you focus on being present. Instead of trying to force solutions, you allow them to unfold in divine timing. There is a deep sense of relief that comes from knowing that you do not have to have all the answers. You do not have to know exactly how things will work out. You simply have to trust that they will. When you put God first, you shift your focus from fear to faith. You stop letting worst-case scenarios dictate your thoughts and instead remind yourself that no matter what happens, you will be okay. You will be provided for. You will be guided to the next step. One of the greatest sources of stress in life is the need to control everything. People try to control their relationships, their careers, their finances, and their future. They think that if they can just manage every detail, they will finally feel secure. But control is an illusion. No matter how much effort you put into planning, life will always have unexpected twists. And the more you try to hold on to control, the more anxious you become. But when you put God first, you let go of that need for control. You understand that even when things do not go as planned, they are still going exactly as they need to. You stop resisting change and instead embrace it, knowing that every shift is leading you closer to where you are meant to be. There is also a powerful sense of calm that comes from knowing that you are not alone. Many people feel isolated in their struggles. They think they have to fight every battle on their own, carry every burden, and push through life without support. But when you put God first, you realize that you are always supported. You are never facing anything alone. Even in your most difficult moments, there is a presence guiding you, strengthening you, and making a way where there seems to be no way. The peace that comes from putting God first is not just about feeling calm in the moment. It is about developing an unshakable trust that carries you through life. It is about knowing that even when storms come, they will not destroy you. Even when things fall apart, something better is being built in their place. Even when doors close, they are closing for a reason. This kind of peace does not mean that challenges disappear. It means that challenges no longer have the power to break you. You face them with confidence, knowing that they are temporary, knowing that they have a purpose, and knowing that they will lead to growth. Many people spend their lives searching for peace in all the wrong places. They try to find it in success, in relationships, in financial security, or in material possessions. But nothing external can provide the lasting peace that comes from putting God first. Everything external is temporary. Jobs change, people change, circumstances change, but God remains constant. His presence, His guidance, and His provision never fade. When you build your peace on that foundation, nothing in this world can take it away. You become steady in the face of uncertainty, calm in the face of chaos, and strong in the face of adversity. You stop reacting to every little thing that goes wrong and start trusting that even in the unknown, you are exactly where you need to be. When you put God first, your relationships transform and you begin to attract connections that align with your highest self. Many people struggle in relationships because they approach them from a place of lack, seeking validation, approval, or fulfillment from others. They enter relationships expecting another person to complete them, to heal their wounds, or to provide them with the love they have not yet cultivated within themselves. But relationships built on need rather than wholeness often lead to disappointment. When you put God first, you no longer look to people to fill the spaces in your heart that only He can fill. You develop a deep sense of self-worth that is not dependent on the way others treat you. You learn to give love freely without expecting something in return, and you release the burden of needing constant affirmation from others. When your heart is anchored in God, you begin to see relationships from a different perspective. Instead of seeking people who simply make you feel good in the moment, you seek those who challenge you to grow, who uplift your spirit, and who align with your purpose. You become more discerning, recognizing that not every relationship is meant to last forever. Some people come into your life to teach you lessons, some to help you evolve, and some to walk with you for a lifetime. When you put God first, you stop forcing relationships that are no longer serving your growth. You stop holding on to people out of fear of loneliness. You begin to trust that if someone is meant to be in your life, they will be, and if they are not, their departure is making room for something greater. One of the biggest struggles people face in relationships is the inability to let go of toxic connections. They hold on to relationships that drain them, that keep them stuck, and that do not align with their values. They tolerate mistreatment, settle for less than they deserve, and remain in situations that do not bring them peace. But when you put God first, you gain the strength to walk away from anything that is not in alignment with your well-being. You understand that love should not be a source of pain, confusion, or suffering. You recognize that relationships should bring growth, not destruction, and that real love does not require you to compromise your self-worth. When you center your relationships around God, you learn the power of forgiveness. Many people hold on to resentment, anger, and bitterness because they have been hurt by others. They carry the weight of past betrayals, allowing those wounds to shape the way they view relationships. But forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior. It is about freeing yourself from the burden of carrying pain. When you put God first, you understand that holding on to anger only harms you. You choose to release it, not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness does not mean allowing toxic people back into your life. It means no longer allowing their actions to control your emotions. You also begin to love differently. Love is no longer based on fleeting emotions, but on a deeper understanding of connection, commitment, and purpose. You start loving people for who they are rather than what they can do for you. You love from a place of abundance rather than need. You no longer expect others to fix you because you have already done the inner work with God. This shift in perspective allows you to build healthier, more fulfilling relationships that are based on mutual respect, trust, and spiritual alignment. When you put God first, you also attract relationships that reflect the love and energy you have cultivated within yourself. If you are filled with insecurity, doubt, and fear, you will attract people who mirror those same qualities. But when you have done the inner work to heal, when you have embraced self-love, and when you have surrendered your relationships to God, you begin to attract people who are whole within themselves. You no longer engage in relationships that drain your energy. You seek connections that bring joy, peace, and inspiration. You surround yourself with people who encourage you to grow spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. Relationships become less about what you can get and more about what you can give. When you put God first, you recognize that love is not about possession, control, or validation. It is about selflessness, patience, and understanding. You stop trying to force love to fit your expectations and instead allow it to unfold naturally. You stop seeking temporary gratification and instead invest in relationships that have depth, meaning, and purpose. Putting God first also helps you navigate conflict differently. Instead of reacting out of ego, you respond with wisdom. Instead of holding grudges, you choose understanding. You stop seeing disagreements as battles to win and instead as opportunities to strengthen the connection. When your heart is rooted in God, you communicate with love rather than anger, with patience rather than frustration. You understand that healthy relationships require work, but that work should not be one-sided. It should be mutual, filled with respect and a shared commitment to growth. When God is at the center of your relationships, you find peace even in the face of uncertainty. You no longer feel desperate to make things work. You trust that the right people will stay and that those who leave were never meant to be part of your long-term journey. You begin to value quality over quantity. You seek meaningful, soul-nourishing connections rather than surface-level interactions. You build relationships that are not just emotionally fulfilling, but spiritually enriching.